Today we're diving into the study of marine ecology, which explores how living things in the ocean interact with each other and their environment. Every fish, coral, and plankton plays a part in this complex web of relationships. By the end of this lecture, you'll see how energy, nutrients, and life itself moves through the ocean in interconnected ways. Ecology is about interactions. In the ocean, these interactions shape where organisms live, how they survive, and how they affect one another. A population is a group of individuals from the same species living together. Several populations form a community, and that community exists within the habitat, the physical space where organisms live. Each species also fills an ecological niche, its unique role and sets of needs of survival, growth, and reproduction. Every species fits into the puzzle of marine life. Populations depend on certain resources like food, nutrients, and space. When those resources are limited, they can control how large a population can grow. These limiting resources can be physical, like light or temperature, or biological, like the availability of food or symbiotic partners. A shortage in any of these can actually cause populations to decline, while abundance allows these populations to grow. When each resource seems plentiful, there's always a limit to how many individuals an environment can actually support. This is called the carrying capacity. Once a population approaches this limit, growth slows because resources become stretched thin. Marine environments often reach a balance. Too many fish in one area, the food runs out. Too few, and the resources go unused. Nature tends to correct itself through these feedback loops. Marine species interact in fascinating ways. Competition happens when organisms need the same limited resources. Predator prey interactions keep populations balanced. And then there's symbiosis, where two species live closely together, sometimes helping each other, sometimes not. These relationships shape marine communities and keep ecosystems dynamic and evolving. Competition is one of the most powerful forces shaping marine life. It occurs when two species need the same limited resources, like food, shelter, or territory. Sometimes it happens within a species, and that is called intraspecific competition, and sometimes between different species, known as interspecific competition. In these struggles, the better competitor thrives while weaker ones may fail to reproduce or even survive. Competition drives adaptation and pushes species to find creative ways to share or divide resources. When species compete for the same resource, two main outcomes can happen. One species might completely exclude the other, and that is known as competitive exclusion principle. The other possibility is resource partitioning, when they learn to coexist by using resources differently, feeding at different times, choosing different prey, or living in slightly different habitats. Over time, these patterns help reduce conflicts and increase diversity in marine communities. Symbiosis is when two species live in close association with one another. Some relationships are mutual, where both benefit, like the cleaner fish removing parasites from larger fish, or zooxanthellae providing energy for corals. Others are commensal. That's where one benefits without affecting the other, such as barnacles on whales. And some are parasitic, like tapeworms living inside whales, gaining nutrients while harming the host. Each form of symbiosis shapes survival in unique ways. Not all symbiotic relationships are equal. In facultative symbiosis, partners can survive on their own but benefit from living together. In obligate symbiosis, one cannot live without the other. Corals and zooxanthellae are perfect examples. In many cases, the smaller organism is called the symbiont, and the larger one is known as the host. These partnerships show how cooperation, just like competition, can drive evolution in the seas. Predation keeps marine ecosystems balanced. A predator kills and eats its prey, controlling the population size and promoting healthy communities. Prey species can evolve defenses like camouflage, warning coloration, or mimicry to avoid being eaten. Even herbivores, animals that eat seaweed or plants, play a vital role by shaping plant communities. Every bite in the ocean connects to the next, fueling the endless cycle of energy and adaptation. A marine community is more than just the living organisms. It also includes the physical environment around them. Together, the biotic and abiotic factors form an ecosystem. These ecosystems don't exist in isolation. They constantly interact with the neighboring ones through water movement, nutrient exchange, and migrating organisms. For all of this to function, energy must continually enter the system while nutrients get recycled again and again to sustain life. Energy moves through the marine ecosystems in structured ways, known as a trophic structure. At the base are the primary producers, like the phytoplankton and algae, that make food through photosynthesis. Above them are the consumers, the herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores that depend on these producers for energy. Each level relies on the one below, and the amount of energy decreases as it moves upwards through the food web. Only about 10% of the energy from one trophic level passes to the next. The rest is lost as heat, movement, and waste. This is why the energy pyramid narrows towards the top. Large predators like sharks or whales need vast amounts of prey to support their energy needs. These pyramids can never be inverted because the basic law of thermodynamics. Energy always flows in one direction, from sunlight to producers to consumers. Marine organisms occupy different zones based on where and how they live. Benthos are bottom dwellers. Some are sessile like sponges, while others move about on the seafloor, like crabs and sea stars. Pelagic organisms live in the open water. Within that group, plankton drift from the currents, while nekton are strong swimmers that can move against them, such as fish, squids, and marine mammals. Each group plays a different role in the open ocean's web of life. The intertidal zone lies between the high and the low tides and the area exposed to air and sunlight at least once a day. Below is the subtidal zone, which stays underwater and extends to the edge of the continental shelf. Beyond that lies the deep sea, divided into the bathal, abyssal, and hadal zones, regions of crushing pressure, near freezing temperatures, and perpetual darkness. Yet even here, life thrives in remarkable forms. The open ocean is divided into layers based on the depth and light availability. The epipelagic zone stretches from the surface to about 200 meters and is bathed in sunlight, supporting photosynthesis and most marine life's activity. Below is the mesopelagic zone, which receives only dim light, enough to see but not enough for plants to grow. Then comes the bathypelagic, abyssopelagic, and hadopelagic zones, where light disappears completely. Life here relies on sinking organisms, matter, or bioluminescence to survive in total darkness. Everything in the ocean's food web starts with primary production, the process where producers like phytoplankton convert sunlight and nutrients into organic matter. After using some of the energy of their own needs, the leftover becomes the foundation for all higher trophic levels. The total amount of phytoplankton in the water at any time is called a standing stock. This balance between production and consumption determines how much energy is available to sustain life in a given area. Carbon is constantly cycling through the ocean. Photosynthetic organisms use carbon dioxide to make organic molecules like sugar, forming the base of the food webs. When these organisms are eaten, the carbon moves up the chain and eventually returns to the water through respiration or decomposition. Some carbon even sinks into the seafloor, becoming stores for centuries. This cycle links marine life to the atmosphere and plays a major role in regulating Earth's climate. Along with carbon, nitrogen and phosphorus are essential nutrients for life. They are needed to build proteins, DNA, and other cellular components. These elements are recycled through the ecosystem and organisms die or release waste. In many marine systems, they are limiting nutrients, meaning their availability controls how much primary production can occur. Too little nutrients and productivity drops. Too much and the harmful algal blooms can form. Marine ecology reveals how every living thing in the ocean, from microscopic plankton to massive whales, is connected through cycles of energy and matter. These relationships are delicate and dynamic, constantly changing with the environmental conditions. Understanding them helps us protect marine ecosystems and appreciate the balance that sustains life on your planet. The ocean isn't just a habitat, it's a living system that reminds us how interconnected all forms of life truly are.